Hey everyone, today we need to talk about Kamchatka again, Kamchatka's multi-hazard crisis and the volcanic eruptions after the Megathrust Earthquake, because the situation there is now the perfect example of what happens when a Megathrust Earthquake and multiple volcanoes kind of wake up at the same time, trigger each other. And let me start with what has happened today. We hear from Russia today that the Bezymianny Volcano in Kamchatka has erupted, sending ash plumes as high as 54 kilometers high into the sky. That's like 45 miles. This is really a lot. The Kamchatka geologists are recording a 3.7 mile high column of smoke right now, increased seismic activity, and the threat that comes from this volcano, hot lava avalanches in the direct area around the volcano. Ashfall is observed for tens of miles to the northeast right now, and the eruption is estimated to continue. It hasn't stopped yet. The Regional Ministry of Emergency Situations has issued a warning to the local residents and the tourists about the dangerous situation there. So traveling there and hiking in the vicinity of the volcano, please don't do that. That's what they're saying. Also at risk are several settlements in the Ust-Kamchatsky, Betynsky, and Milovsky municipal districts from that volcano. We need to mention that the last powerful eruption of this volcano occurred in the summer of 2024. At that time, a huge column of smoke rose to a height of approximately 10 miles. But we have to note, Kamchatka has gone through one of the strongest earthquakes in modern history. A magnitude 8.8 megathrust earthquake struck offshore on July 29th this year, 2025. It was massive. Massive. I've reported about that. The earthquake happened. Of course, the culprit was always, like always with these big earthquakes, a subduction zone where the Pacific plate dives beneath the Okhotsk plate, Pacific ring of fire. The rupture area was huge. Very large area had ruptured. The shaking has also triggered tsunami alerts across the Pacific. They recorded only waves around 3 to 4 meters, 10 to 12 feet on the Kamchatka coast directly, and roughly like 3 feet on the coast of California, Crescent City. So not a high tsunami like we have seen when the Japan mega quake happened. But the tsunami has reached Japan, Hawaii, Alaska, and California. In California, there was the highest wave. But before this quake, there was a strong foreshock sequence, including a magnitude 7.4 about a week earlier. And they thought that's the main shock, but it wasn't. And since then, guys, the region is still experiencing aftershocks, thousands of aftershocks since July, many above magnitude 4, 5, and several above magnitude 6 even. So the scientists do not fully understand yet this slip distribution in the area. But what is already clear is that a megathrust earthquake, guys, of this size changes the stress inside the crust, definitely. And that can disturb magma systems underneath volcanoes. I mean, there's a reason why along the Pacific Ring of Fire, where we have most of the world's devastating earthquakes, we also have most of the world's active volcanoes. And volcanoes did start to erupt right after the quake. Bezymianny erupted. Kluchevskaya Sopka erupted. That's the highest one and one of the most active volcanoes in Eurasia. It erupted almost immediately after the magnitude 8.8 earthquake. And this volcano is famous for huge lava fountains, ash columns, and explosive episodes. Timing is extremely interesting because it matches the stress changes caused by this Megathrust earthquake. And the shocking volcano that erupted is the Krashenikov volcano that erupted on August 3rd, 2025. So just a few days later, just 3 days after the quake, and this volcano has been dormant for hundreds of years. Some scientists think that it hasn't erupted for about 600 years. So is this a coincidence, or is this triggered by the Kamchatka megaquake? We do not have 100% proof, but it is estimated that this is related. So it suddenly comes alive after one of the largest earthquakes ever recorded, right? It's extremely rare. And it shows again how sensitive volcanic systems can be to tectonic changes. And what we know in Kamchatka, if one volcano becomes unstable, others often follow. So why is this really happening? So when a huge megaquake hits, it can open new cracks in the crust. It can change the pressure inside of magma chambers. It can change the pathways for volcanic gases. It can trigger movement inside the dome structures of these volcanoes, or simply push a volcano the last few inches. A volcano that was already close to erupting, it can be pushed over the edge. So most volcanologists say earthquakes do not create eruptions. But if a volcano is already ripe, a big quake can trigger or accelerate the eruption. And this is exactly the situation that we are observing in Kamchatka. But the volcanologists didn't have these volcanoes on the radar for an eruption, especially not the Krashenikov volcano. So we have a multi-hazard scenario here on Kamchatka: earthquakes, volcanic chain reaction, the ash, tsunamis, and infrastructure damage. Not really great. That's why the Russian observatory continues to monitor all these volcanoes closely, because more eruptions are possible, and Kamchatka has a lot of volcano. And we still have the possibility of strong aftershocks, even up to magnitude 7, that are still possible. If Bezymianny keeps erupting now, we can have dome growth, we can hot avalanches, lava avalanches that can lead to sudden dome collapses and pyroclastic flows. And the aviation hazards, of course. Kamchatka is one of the worst places in the world for aircraft to fly, because there's always so much ash, because even like a 3.7 mile ash plume is already very, very dangerous. And the stress from the Megathrust earthquake will continue to evolve over months, which means we can see more volcanic responses. So guys, very interesting. Check the videos in the end screen if you want to learn more about volcanoes, earthquakes, tsunamis, landslides, or even about what is coming from above. Interstellar Object 3I Atlas creates a new mystery basically every day, and we have new images. So check out the videos in the end screen if you want to support the channel. Link is in the description of this video. Thanks everyone who's supporting the channel with your memberships, your supers, the coffees you keep buying me, your comments, for being here, for watching. So please stay safe, guys. I see you in a second.